I don't know when we are live. We might be live, but I'm not positive. All right. Let's just assume that we are live. Welcome. This is Aloha Friday. I am your host, Shane Austin. I'm here with my co-host, Dave Austin. And Aloha Friday is where greatness is made casual. Today, we are going to be talking about motivation versus inspiration. Which one fuels you to success? And we're going to kind of dissect the pros and cons of each of them, and we'll let you come to your own conclusions. But let me just turn it over to my co-host here, and just co-host. How are you doing today, and what are you grateful for today? We always like to start with gratitude.
I'm incredibly grateful. We've moved into the new home. We're having filming done today with some great programs, new programs. It's really awesome. But I'm also very grateful to have you back, man. We missed Aloha Friday. People were, where's Aloha Friday? And I said, well, Shane's having his own Aloha experience with his wife for her 30th birthday down in Costa Rica. Can you give us a little insight on that before we get moving on?
I got to say that goes right into my gratitude. Obviously, safe travels and safe transportation, because we were on a lot of flights. And but I will say it was absolutely magical. And magical is not a word that I typically use. But this place, literally, I can't even describe it in any other way. It was like the movie Avatar. I mean, everything was alive. Everything was colorful. Even when the lights went down and you thought it couldn't get any more beautiful, then you see fireflies everywhere. So it was awesome. I recommend Costa Rica to anybody. And, you know, we talk about living Aloha with the Aloha Friday, the Aloha spirit. They have a saying there called Pura Vida, and it's Pura Vida for all those Spanish speakers out there. You know, that stands for pure life, but really it stands for anything out there. Kind of like Aloha. It represents whatever it represents to you. It represents love, respect, just good vibes, good feelings. And that's what this show is all about. Good vibes, good feelings only.
Got good vibrations going, baby.
Absolutely.
Bring it home.
So let's kick it off. Before we even dive into any of the content, I love to bring in some trivia. And I see some people are already coming in. We got David Norris in the house. What's going on, David Norris? Baby. We got Jeff. We got Nick Diaz. Anybody else that's jumping on with us live, definitely want to see if you can outdo Dave on the trivia of the day. And
that's really hard to outdo me on these if anybody's watching this show on a consistent basis.
I believe last time you went 0 for 3. I think you totally struck out.
I did.
We will see. You got a new opportunity today. And even if you are coming in on the replay and you're not watching this live, shoot, just throw in your answers. Let's see what you got here. So in the essence of Costa Rica, since I was just there, what does Costa Rica mean in English?
It means aloha.
Translate Costa Rica. Like literally translate what Costa Rica translates to in English. And maybe somebody can help you in the comments. I'm going to go on it while you're thinking of that one. Okay, no. Do you have a guess?
Yeah, it's costo. It cost a lot of...
It actually wasn't cheap. You would think because of the exchange rate. Our dollar is $556 to them. That's the exchange rate there. It is still very expensive. I already noticed in the comments we're getting a ton of correct answers, but I'm not going to tell you because I don't know if you can see them. So I'm going to let you.
I can't. I'm blind. And I'm noticing now that the sun has changed. I'm sitting in my own Costa Rica experience here in Holiday, Utah, with the beautiful surroundings. Thought it was perfect. But since before we went on, all of a sudden the sun shifted. So
you look sparkly. It's great.
I look sparkly. All right, I'll be sparkly then. I'll let my light shine.
Let me give you an easier one since you obviously didn't get it yet, and I'll let people continue to answer. But
a lot easier.
True or false? It's 50-50.
Okay.
True or false? Costa Rica is the largest exporter of bananas in the world. And again, I want to know from the people back home if they can help out Dave or beat Dave to the answer. I think we're on like an 8-second delay, so I'll see your answer in about 8 seconds.
I'll say false.
False. Okay, that's Dave's answer. I'm curious to see what
everybody else says.
Because
you wouldn't ask that question, but I'm going to say false. It's too dang small to be the number one, I think.
Yeah, they are very small when you think of it. They're only the size, they're smaller than I think Lake Michigan or Lake Erie or one of those Great Lakes. They're smaller actually in size. Okay, last but not least, hummingbirds are very abundant in Costa Rica. And we obviously know a lot about hummingbirds. So hopefully you can get this one. How fast is the maximum wing beat of a hummingbird per second?
Oh gosh, I can tell you that it is
how many times in 1 second?
Any other bird alive, like by 10 times. I know that. I know it's just like speed for it to stay still. So how fast? So man,
think of 1 second. If you see a bird flapping its wings, I mean, we know an eagle probably it's the answer is 0 because they don't even have to flap; they just soar. But some of the other ones that are flapping frantically, I mean, you think, wait, what, 3 to 5, maybe. I wouldn't even say any more than that in 1 second.
I think it's over 100 for a hummingbird. I forget what it is. It's pretty freaking amazing.
Okay. Oh, and David's asking African or European.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So there's that's pretty impressive.
Like he knows that answer.
I'm actually gonna adjust this question and put it to kind of within 20. You're correct, because I think, I don't know if there's an exact number. I think there's a range. So I'll go back to the top and we'll go back to see some of these people's answers. We got a lot of trues. We got some, now I'm losing some of the comments that I had. We got 100 flaps. I know I did see some falses in there earlier, but why am I not able to see all the comments? Anyways, I only see about 5 comments. First one, Costa Rica translates to the rich coast.
Oh,
coast. Maybe that's why they are so expensive. Everybody's rich there. Then we got the true or false. Costa Rica is the largest exporter of bananas in the world. I saw a little bit mixed on the questions there, true and false. You said false. The answer is, in fact, false.
Oh, God, thank you. I got one at first time in a while.
But they are second.
Oh.
To Ecuador, of all places.
Wow.
Ecuador, number 1. So the last one, the final one, is hummingbirds. And I'm going to say a range, but what I got is 80 wing beats per second. So if you said 100, if you said 70, I'm going to say you're in that range. I'm going to give you that correct. I'm going to get it correct. I think that the point is it's a lot.
Well, 100 in a second or 80 in a second. Come on, think about that. How fast that has to be. That's like crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And that actually leads us right into the coaching tip of the day. You didn't know I was going to bring up the hummingbird, but I do want you to share about the hummingbird and why that animal is so special to us.
All right. So it is the coach of the day right now, baby. So in our Beast program, we call the hummingbird ETMO, which stands for Embrace the Moment. We have in our program, you see slow motion, the hummingbird going in and sucking out the nectar, going, oh, this is so good. You can almost see the beak smiling, going, oh my gosh, it's just hovering there and goes back in and takes the nectar. We need to embrace the moment. If you're looking back behind you, what just happened, you're going to miss what might be right here present in front of you. If you're looking ahead, worried about that or gone ahead, you're going to miss this magical moment now. So embrace the moment. Embrace it fully. ETMO, the hummingbird.
I'll tell you, that was, I wouldn't say I had any intentions going into into our trip, but that was something that I wanted to embody every single day, was embrace the moment, embrace the nectar of the trip each and every day, waking up to howler monkeys. I'd go out to our little porch and just embrace the beauty around us. But even if you're not in Costa Rica or even Hawaii, live in the Aloha spirits, you can still embrace the moment of every day, of any scenario that you're in. So I love that. ETMO, remind yourself of that. One word shifts you right back into the present moment. I see Nick Diaz, the present is a present. That is why they call it the present, right? It's a present to us. Dave Norris, embrace the moment. Love it. Here we go. ETMO. So in that, I'll go into this week's Queek. Hashtag Queek. If you follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, any of that stuff, I do a quote of the week. I'm actually going to share last week's because I just love it so much, but it's by Bruce Lee.
You weren't around last week, so you got, it carried forward.
I had to bring it forward. Yeah. So this quote is from Bruce Lee. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Woo! I like that a lot. I got some chills on that one.
Get clear on what your strengths are and really put all your emphasis and focus into that and go a mile deep rather than a mile across. And I tell you, you'll bring your full presence to anything that you do rather than putting a little piece of you into multiple directions. Dive in all the way. Bruce Lee said it best. All right. With that said, why don't we just jump right into the discussion at hand today? And I want to see there's some more comments coming in. Go Bows, beat Navy. Hey, college football has started. College football has started. I don't know if you saw. I saw the score. I was in Costa Rica, but Hawaii pulled up a big victory against, was it Colorado State?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they looked rock solid. It's the best I've seen them in years. I tell you, their quarterback has a lot of Shane Austin in them. They're going to have a good year. I mean it. The guy I thought he was rock solid. They got a really good quarterback, really good receivers, and guess what? Rolo has a run and shoot going again. See, he had to incorporate the team and how it was recruited. Now you're starting to see his recruits, so he can go back to the famous Hawaiian run and shoot. And
I knew Rolo would turn him around. Rolo is the man. Love Coach Rolo. He's going to take him to the promised land this year, so looking forward to that. So actually, in regards to, since we're talking about football, let's bring that right into the topic of inspiration versus motivation. There's plenty of times where a coach or somebody will come into a team before a big game to give a big motivational speech, or maybe it's a player, whatever that is. I know we've seen them on YouTube. We've seen plenty of Ray Lewis speeches, or in college, different speeches. And especially in a big game where you're playing a team, maybe you're the underdog. You're playing like a big time, like we played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. We needed, 50 motivational speeches for that game. But the thing that I've noticed is that sometimes with just a motivational speech, you feel pumped up. It's a close game right off the bat. It's neck and neck, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is pretty impressive. And then the stronger team, they make their adjustments, halftime, all that stuff, and then you start to see the stronger team usually pull away. Now we have seen some upsets as well, but sometimes, most of the time, you see that team that knows that they're the underdog. They're way behind, but they get that motivational speech. They start to, once they hit setbacks, once they hit something that doesn't go right, when things are going right, it's great. But as soon as those setbacks start to happen, then the real belief system starts setting in, and the stronger team with the stronger belief ends up taking over and winning the game. So I kind of want to ask you, why is that? Why is it that sometimes motivation, energize us, but then we'll lose that energy? And maybe, what is better? Is it motivation, inspiration? What's the difference? Are they the same thing? If you want to dive into that.
I think there's a big difference personally. Not everyone sees it my way, but I look at motivation. There's a purpose behind it. It gets everyone up. Woohoo! You go to a motivational speech, everyone gets excited. But you know what? Then, say that was on a Saturday. Well, Tuesday's morning is going to come. And right. You go back to just like it lasted. Hey, I had the greatest. That was awesome. But how do you sustain it? How do you keep moving forward? You mentioned football. Well, you know what? You go out, it's a long game, and it might get everyone riled up, and they're riled up. I see everyone motivated to start a football game. I've never not seen. But how do you sustain that level of intensity? And I think now it comes to inspiration. Inspiration is something in you, and motivation is something outside you. Is someone motivating you and kind of, say, pushing you towards something rather than pulling you towards your goal. And inspiration is going to have more lasting effect, in my belief. I think back to, I'm sorry to throw Coach Mack under the bus, but
don't do it.
Don't do it. The stories you talk about, he'd come in and he'd get everybody, he hit the table and all this, and all the teams like looking at each other going, what are we doing here? But that's, I think, a misconception of like mental performance. We think, well, it's just, if you give them a phrase, if you give them something, the truth is mental performance is something that's got to be practiced. It's got to be something that goes beyond this. We talk about embrace the moment. It's got to be about keeping it with you as you keep embracing new moments. And I think inspiration is something that helps you carry it forward because you've taken it within. Someone says, oh, you're a great motivational speaker. And I go, well, I don't really call myself a motivational speaker because I look at that as, well, I can motivate. Don't get me wrong. But my intention is to inspire you and give you something that will last and keep going and give you tools to keep fueling it as you go forward. that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. You're preaching to the choir here. So I want to just to play devil's advocate here. I want to kind of dissect and go through some pros and cons of each. I think with motivation, I think it can be a good thing and a bad thing. And I want to hear from in the comments from other people what they feel about motivation and inspiration. Are they usually feeling motivated, unmotivated? Are they feeling inspired? A lack of inspiration? What do they feel? What do you guys feel is better? And what do you tend to strive for? That motivational video that's going to pump you up, or that motivational seminar? Or are you looking for something from within that's going to drive you and carry you through? So I'm just curious on the comments. But
let me just say something. So you're looking for something within. It doesn't mean you don't get guided. It doesn't mean you just come up with it yourself. I mean, it can be very motivational, but I think inspiration goes beyond motivation. But that's just, again, my take. And I'm prejudiced about it. I hope we have some comments.
And I might come back to that, actually, that idea. But with motivation, yes, I feel like there is that surge of energy and it does kind of wear off. But there are some pros to it too. I mean, there's some definite benefits to motivation because it gets you off your ass. I mean, there's some people that are just like, well, I'm inspired to do this, but I'm just not today. I'm not feeling like putting in the work, and sometimes it does take a little nudge in the right direction. But I also see it, on the other hand, is it's kind of like gravity, or it's like a propulsion. It pushes you up and you go flying. It sends you, that's the direction you want to go. You want to go up. But again, eventually that's gravity's going to take you back down. So you need something to catch you. You need something to pull you up. And I feel like when motivation pushes you forward, great direction, inspiration pulls you forward. And when you get pulled forward, then it's effortless and you don't need that fuel. You don't need it because you feel energized. You're doing what you're inspired to do. Like I know I'm in alignment with exactly my calling, and I'm feeling so inspired that you get up in the morning. You don't need anybody to tell you. It's from within. So I think that is the long-term solution. But let's think of, okay, so there's some pros with inspiration, and we think of any cons of inspiration. What about people that just can't feel inspired? And it's kind of like what you were talking about, is you don't have to just rely on yourself. But what about when people are like, well, I just feel like I never get inspired. I don't know how to get inspired. So that's why I just rely on motivation. Do you have any tips on just finding that inspiration, or is it really do require an accountability partner, somebody from outside your picture frame with a different perspective to help inspire you?
Well, first of all, I'm going to answer that, but I want to say aha moment I had. From now on, I'm not going to say, when someone says you're a motivational speaker, I'm going to say yes to that. I'm a motivational speaker, but more, I'm also an inspirational speaker. It's both.
You're motivating from within, not
right,
from just the outside pushing.
Exactly.
You're pulling.
And the other thing is, I do think it's very helpful to have someone support you. I mean, the environment you put yourself in, if you have trusted people, because sometimes there are those moments where, gosh, I need to be lifted. And there's some incredible great videos and great coaches that can lead to that if you have a trusted relationship and can pull you out. And I think that motivational part of get off the floor, baby, let's go, is very important. But where do you go and how do you sustain it is also just as important. So that's why, I'm going to say that it's both. And yes, I do hear people now answering your question. It's just hard for me to get inspired. What's a tool? For me, a tool, if I'm feeling like I'm not inspired, it means I'm not connected. What I mean when I say I'm not connected, I'm not connected to my source or God. When I get connected, I feel completely different because all of a sudden I'm lifted. I'm lifted in that very moment. How do I connect back? A very deep breath. And then I think about what I'm grateful for. It's a really valuable tool because once I start getting tapped into gratitude and you start being grateful for what you have, even if you have a challenge, but you start getting grateful for what you have, that gives me the power to fuel. It's like also tapping back in, why do I want to do this? What's the value it brings to me? Getting very clear on the value and the why. There's a motivation
right there.
that's going to fuel the power to achieve that you wish to desire. It's Valdepah. Yeah, another one of our beast principles. And I didn't know I was going to lead right into that, but that's what just happened.
Well, that's the value, like you talk about. The value is what gives you the desire and that power to achieve anything. And I'll just read some of the comments coming in. Inspiration lasts longer. I like that. That is that fuel. It continues to give you that guidance from within. Is another comment. And then Jeff, people seek external and it's temporary. Need to be from within. Like meeting you guys at CEO Space. Needed to meet you and it inspired me to motivate myself. I love it. And Meredith is in the house. What's going on, Meredith? Usually if you can't get inspired, you can get motivated. That's borderline depression. Oh, you can't get motivated. Sorry, read that wrong. Usually if you can't get inspired, you can't get motivated, and it's borderline depression. Now, I will say when you're talking about a mentor or maybe a teacher or a coach, I think that there are ones that tell you what to do. And then there's the really great coaches are the ones that know how to ask the right questions so you find the answer from within. And I think a great coach or teacher or mentor can utilize both because they know when there's times where you do need to get pushed a little bit. You need to get pushed out of your comfort zone. And that's a little bit motivating. You're kind of pushing them into the right direction, nudging them onto the path. But then asking the internal questions, the questions where you got to look deep within and find out your why or the value you're putting towards what it is. And then you make that connection yourself for that inspiration to then carry you home. That's the guiding force. So I think that good mentors actually utilize both a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'll say when you were saying that, I just thought of what we do in Extreme Focus is game readies. You go within and see, the whole process. We start in gratitude. We start with your intentions and you go through the visualization. And how many times have you had, or I've had, where that person's inspired and motivated? It's like, bring it on, baby. In fact, I get to the point like, well, I want to go play now too, because I get so inspired giving them. It's just that there's an energy, there's a frequency uplift, so to speak. It's like, man, and you can tell it's sustainable because of the way that we do it is to have yourself really get focused on the intentions. And on another show, we got to talk about intentions versus goals and really get dialed in on that. So we'll do that and have that debate as well. But when you're focused in and you keep going, I mean, I've literally been watching television, seeing one of the Major League Baseball players I work with, and I see them pull out of their back pocket, and I know what they're doing. They have their intentions, because sometimes we have the distractions, and we just come right back because it is a long game, and life is a long game. Keep coming back to what your intentions are. And that's an incredibly valuable tool to stay in that motivated, inspired state.
I love it. I love the discussion. I'm starting to like this format too, where it's sort of a debate. We're not debating with each other, but it's a debate on two different ideas. And maybe going forward to the Aloha Friday, we might bring in a little bit more of these contrasting ideas and polarizing topics and really get our take. And I'd love to see the take of everybody else too. And I appreciate everybody who has come in and shown their engagement and comments and getting their ideas. I love learning from other people as well. So I think the consensus on motivation versus inspiration is a little bit of both. I mean, we're kind of in agreement. I mean, inspiration is definitely the driving force for the long run, but every once in a while you need a little bit of that push, a little bit of that motivation. So I think there's pros and cons to both, but using them in unison is
your mom is really good of motivating me. That kick in the butt does help, I have to say.
Hey, and there's my wife. Speaking of wives, Megan Austin is in the house.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Megan, put something about the Costa Rica. We've heard some really great things. I want to hear from you. Please post something of your
from the rich coast.
Yeah.
Pura Vida. So anyways, with that, here we go. One last comment before we go. Game readies are something special. Lots of mindset coaches out there, but your process is the first that has worked for me. Probably the tie to sports, but it works. Hey, sports is the absolute best way to learn life lessons, and really it's the biggest metaphor to life in disguise with sports. So we use sports.
Tease me and not tell me who just said that.
That was Jeff Levin from CEO Space.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, well, we appreciate that, Jeff. Appreciate you, Nick, too, as well. My wife, Megan, everybody else that's commented in today and engaged with us. With that, because I don't want to be up here too long, but I do want to get the review of the week and a couple book recommendations, and then we'll get out of here. You got that ready for us?
I do, and it's a long review, so I'm going to shorten it up. Just take a little
abbreviate
bit of it. This comes from Lynette Casper, who's the president of Phytomer USA. If you ever go to a spa and you see those products, oh my gosh, phenomenal products. But here's the review of the week. She says, when I heard talking to me, it was an email to me. When I heard you speak at one of your seminars, I knew the information you taught would be beneficial to my sales team. Then after you conducted a workshop for our sales team, I was so excited at how motivated they were. Isn't that funny? That's why I picked this one, how motivated they were, but they were filled with new energy and positive mindset. But guess what? It's a 12-week course we're on now. So I got them motivated, and now we're into the process of keeping them inspired as they go.
There we go.
And their sales are going through the roof. So I love it.
Motivation gets you out the gate. Inspiration pulls you through the finish line.
Oh, quote of the week, baby.
There we go.
Shane Austin, quote it.
Somebody type that in the comments so I don't forget it. So with that said, I'll just, in closing, I like to give, I'm a huge bookworm. So one that I just finished, actually, no, the one I'm on right now that I'm loving right now is Built to Sell. Any of you entrepreneurs out there trying to build a business, anything like that, even if you're not planning on selling your company, it's a great way to rethink how you build the company in the first place. That's a great read. What is the one I just finished, though? Crap. It was a really good one, too. Oh, well, I guess I won't remember. The one that's next on my list is Pendulum. That was recommended by Chase, my brother, but basically about 60-year swings that society goes through on a we society or a me society, and it can help you predict kind of where we're going in the future of that. So it's pretty interesting. That one's a new one. What were you going to say?
Spoiler alert then. Spoiler alert. I like this format. We're going to debate. Next week, you mind if I spoil what we're going to debate?
Not at all. As long as we get into the entire.
That kind of teased me into it and said, hey, it's going to be pride versus proud.
Okay.
Ready to take that on?
I'm ready to take that on with you. Pride versus proud. All right.
See you next Friday, everyone.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hey, as always, aloha, mahalo for tuning in. I'm your host, Shane Austin, with my co-host, Dave Austin. Every week, Friday, when we're on, grab a Mai Tai, send you off into the weekend feeling inspired because this is where greatness is made casual. So now I got to see how to turn this thing off. Other than that, you guys all have a great weekend and aloha.
Just be sure you turn it off casually.
I'll try.